Hello everyone, this here is a Delta Homecraft 10-inch bandsaw with a Hoover half horsepower motor. A coworker gave this to me and it works. It just needs some TLC. Obviously someone has painted this some shade of green. Unfortunately, they painted over the badge here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to get that to come back or not. The back one is not painted over. This is probably from the 50s or 60s. I don't know why someone would have painted it this green. And they didn't even fully paint the whole thing. It does turn, but there's a lot of friction in this. And the blade isn't riding correctly on the wheel, but I've let the motor soak in some oil and now it's spinning quite freely. It was spinning before, but it wasn't. It was definitely thirsty. So here, I'll give you a hint of that. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to get done today, but I think I'm going to start off by just lubricating. One of the other things I'd like to mention is it's got a nice old Sears plug on it, not grounded or even polarized, by the way. And this is the wiring setup, so that's gonna have to be changed. This little guide here is made out of wood and it's cracked. I'm gonna have to either glue that back together, or I might be able to make something on the radio alarm side to replace that. There's a mud dauber's nest. I've never dealt with this sort of fitting here, and I'm not sure if this would have originally taken grease or oil. I'm just going to add oil for now. I mean, I can always remove it later. All right, so looks like it's from 1953. All right, so I've gotten it put back together and pretty well lubricated. My next thing that I'm going to work on is I'm going to take the table off and get it, take a wire wheel to it and get it nice and clean. And I'll put a little bit of oil on it to keep it from rusting again. All right, so I got the table off the saw. I'm getting ready to clean it. And I was able to find a bolt to put in there. I'm gonna take these two casters off that have broken and get some other ones on, just so I can at least get it moving around a little easier. That way it's not putting ruts in the garage floor from dragging around. All of these little set screws here are here except for one, and it had this in it, this big ugly screw sticking out. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to cut it down and then cut a slot in it, so it's going to be just like the other set screws. I'm going to try and bring back this logo. I don't know if I can just sand it off or what. I'm trying to tell if this is paint or if it's pressed like that, so I'm going to punch it out. I've already started punching out one of the rivets. All right, so this is actually going surprisingly well. Obviously, there's still the green there. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with that. Debating on whether or not I'm just going to try and get back to the red, or if I'm going to maybe very gently paint over it. Okay. But so I got this all wire wheeled and sanded down. I'm going to go grab some paint to paint the sides. I've already started taping it off. And then I also cleaned off the little aluminum part that goes in the middle. I'm going to try and take this apart and get to where I just have just the base. Oh, and I guess that comes apart too. So I guess it comes apart in multiple ways. So I've got it pretty much all taken apart now. And I'll probably punch out this label. I think I'm just going to do the same thing I did with the other one and just gently sand it till it gets off some of the green. All right, I got all the other parts here soaking in the citrus strip stuff. I'm going to run to the store and grab some paint and some other stuff. And then we'll continue on with this. All right, this stuff looks like it's about ready to be scraped. Yeah, so I'll do that, and I might wire wheel it. So since this top cover took so long to get clean, I put the bottom cover in more of that stripping stuff. It got kind of cold, and I know you're supposed to use this paint when it's above 55 degrees. So I've just got it in front of the air conditioner, but it's heating right now. And trying to get it to set correctly. I want to get this part done tonight. Forecast says it's going to rain tomorrow, so I'm not going to get to clear coat it tomorrow. All right, so this cover is dry, as well as the little logo. So now I'm going to take the little nail rivet things and tap them back into there. It's rainy today. I think I'm going to work on things I can work on inside, such as cleaning up these wheels and other things. I might try and glue this back together. All right, so I'm making decent progress. I've got some other parts drying over there. I've just added a coat of oil. The gray seems like it came out pretty good on the side. It's kind of hard to see, but it is there. All right, today I'm going to be working on some of the smaller parts, or I should say some more smaller parts. I'm going to finish up all that. I just got like a few, like the alignment bearing holders and stuff like that. And then I think I'm going to do those parts too. I've already polished the little piece that goes in the middle. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the wheels today. I still got the other 3 pieces that I didn't get to do last night because of the rain. So hopefully I'll get those done today. And here's some other parts. I think I'm just going to polish this. All right, so I've gotten the top portion of the saw stripped. Well, I still have to go over it with a wire wheel, but I got the paint stripper off. It looks like it mainly took off the green spray paint that was on there. I've gotten some of the other parts together. Now I'm painting the bottom. Oh, the 2 wheels are done. Now I'm painting the bottom cover. And then that might be done tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that tonight, because that's kind of a big piece. It's got a lot of little crevices, but I'm probably going to have to put some more citrus strip on it if I plan to do that, because it's starting to dry. You don't really want the stuff to dry. Part of the process of using that stripper stuff is you normally have to wash it off with water. So after I'm doing that with the cast iron pieces, I put them in the oven on the lowest setting, which is 170. So not trying to bake them or anything, just trying to dry them out. So plans changed a little bit. I did end up cleaning up both parts tonight, so that way all I'm doing tomorrow is wire wheeling them and then painting them. Last thing that I forgot to do was just this little arrow. Everything else is clean. I've already started putting some things back together, like assembling parts. I'm gonna clear coat this, then I'll be done. And that's clear coated, so all that's left is just the big things. All right, so I'm getting pretty close to being done here. That there just needs to dry. It's got clear coat on it already, and this I'm probably gonna put another coat or 2 of the gray paint on it, and then clear coat that, and then that'll be everything painted. So while that's drying, I've decided to kind of fix this up. For now, I'm gonna use this stand that was made since I got new wheels for it. I want to move the electrical box. I don't really like it where it is. I don't know if I'm going to get to painting the motor, but I just want to paint the top of this black or silver or some other color than this green. I don't like it. And I'm probably going to go ahead and replace the cord with something that's got a ground on it. That way it's a little bit safer. I painted the top of this black. This looks so much better. I might run over this with some steel wool, see if I can get it off, but I'm not too fussed about that. I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep this permanently or if I'm going to find something else to put it in, put the saw on, I should say. I mounted the box in here. It just looks a little cleaner. It looks a bit nicer. I'm going to have the cord run through the back, up through a hole here for the motor. And then, of course, the saw is going to be right here. And I think that's just going to give it a much nicer look. The cord that plugs into the wall will come out of the bottom there. And yeah, so that's where I am so far. Those are probably just about dry. All right, I'm starting to put it back together. Seems like it's going all right. Haven't had any issues so far. All right, now I'm gonna throw the belt on, or the band, whatever you want to call it. So I've got this marked out here. I'm not going to use those stupid rail things. All this needs is just screws or bolts put in. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna put it exactly in the center. So that takes into account if this belt has stretched at all. So when I put in a new one, I can slide the motor over a little bit. All right, so I'm going to start by using my bearing and pulley puller thing to pull the pulley out. I'm going to probably pull it out to the end because I don't have a good way to clamp this down and use a wire wheel on it. So I'm probably going to leave it on whenever I wire wheel it, and then I'm going to flip it over, tap it back on, and then wire wheel it again. This is proving to be quite difficult. I'm having to get a lot of leverage on this. I should have cleaned the shaft off before I started doing this. About halfway through, I cleaned off the shaft, but of course there's still some rust underneath that pulley now, so I'm having a bit of a tough time getting it off. All right, so I got it off, and I've actually just flipped it over now. I'm wire wheeling it on the shaft because, like I said, I don't really have a good way to clamp this down. I've got the pulley painted. I might put another coat on it, but it's drying right now. All right, so I did a little experiment on this data plate that was on the side. This was all painted silver, and of course, all the little, all the little indented areas were silver as well. So what I did was I sanded it, but they were still silver. So I took a Sharpie marker, went over it, and then sanded it again to get off the excess Sharpie. And this turned out really well, actually. Now you can actually read what all it says. So I'm going to paint the rest of this black, and then I'm going to clear coat it all to protect it. So I'm running into a bit of a problem here, and I'm thinking, as much as I hate to say it, I might leave this together to paint it. So this is a very old motor. You can see it's got cloth wiring. And if you know anything about cloth wiring, as it ages, it gets kind of brittle. And the capacitor too has cloth wiring. So I really don't want to break a wire and run it into the risk of shorting or just flat out not working anymore, because this is the only motor I have that I can put on that saw right now. So I'm going to take off as many parts as I can. Like, I've already taken off like the little plate over here. I've taken off these two pieces. And then I'm going to paint it. I think I can take off the bottom. So unfortunately, it's not going to be the best paint job, but it'll be better than what it has on it, and it'll protect it from rust. Okay, so I've got the motor cleaned up pretty well. I've got to run to the store and grab some paint. I'm going to use the hammered black finish. It'll kind of cover any imperfections I've missed. And it should look pretty good. Hopefully, I'm going to tape up this data plate right there. And all right, I got the motor painted up. Just waiting for it to dry. I'll probably put on a little bit more paint. The stuff covers it pretty well, but I want to make sure I've gotten everywhere. There's still a little bit of silver right there, but I'm not taking the capacitor off. There's only so much I can do. One of the other things I'd like to do with this saw is add a little light to it. And I found this antique snap-it socket, which is chrome, which will match the polished bits. And it also has a spot to twist on a fitter, so I can put on whatever I'd like. I'll probably just run it with one of these little this is LED spotlights, because it would look pretty alright with that. And I know they made lights specifically for these, but quite frankly, they're really too expensive for me to want to buy that right now. I think I'll paint this and drill that out, and then drill this hole bigger so that it will fit the socket. So I found a smaller light bulb. This one's a little more reasonably sized. So I bent this piece up out of the way. Gives it a little more space. Now it can actually sit like this. And I think this will work pretty good. All I gotta do is, I'm gonna wire wheel this, take the fake brass off of it, and then paint that with the hammered silver. Okay, so here's the little lamp I added on, all complete. I might change these out for black. They would probably look better, but I don't have any black ones right now. I only ended up painting the finial. I just polished this. And also with it rubbing right there would have scratched off the paint. So I think it came out pretty well, all things considered. I threaded the cord through the body, because it's hollow cast iron, and out this hole here. All right, here's the completed project. I'm glad I went with black. That's pretty close to what the motor would have originally looked like. I'm not sure if the fasteners would have been silver, but I've seen a few pictures and it looks like they were, so that's what I went with. It gives a little bit of contrast. I might take some more steel wool and try to get out this green later, but I'm not too fussed about that. It's just, at least the whole top of this isn't green anymore. Anyway, I will give it a little run. Here's the light. Like I said, this was made out of a little, I don't know what you'd call this. Just kind of keeps a box from opening too much. And that's what I made that out of. And then... And of course, I will demonstrate it as well. I think the blade's pretty good on there. Still cuts pretty smooth. All right, that's all for now. Thank you for watching.